Hi, and welcome back to the podcast that wanders and is lost. We may be lost, but we arrive precisely when we mean to. I am your host, Melissa, and we are here with our episode entitled Papa Don't Preach, I'm in Trouble Deep. We are recording on September 18th, 2022. We are still talking about Season 1, Episode 4 of The Rings of Power. This episode is entitled The Great Wave. And speaking of waving, let's say hi to our panel. Bailey, nice to see you.
Hello, and Newton says hi too.
I like that we have our cast of characters who join us with you. I appreciate that. Riley is here.
Rotating
Hey. Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Riley is here. He was just saying he is our color commentator. So look for various shades of indigo.
Turquoise.
And turquoise. There you go. And then, of course, there's Luke, who we have been instructed to throw things at if he falls asleep.
I'm a little tired, but I'm excited to talk about the episode for sure.
Here we are. So. Welcome. All right. We are here. This show and all of our shows at the Drawbridge Media are produced with the love and support of our wonderful Imaginary Legion patrons. Learn more of our rewards tiers at patreon.com/stayimaginary, coming soon. We are, again, talking about the fourth episode of Rings of Power, The Great Wave. This episode was actually 1 hour and 11 minutes, although like 7 of those minutes are, credits. But, it's more than an hour of content. It aired just 2 days ago, so look at us being pretty on top of things. September 16th, 2022. The director was again Wayne Yip, and the writers this time switched up a little bit. Stephanie Folsom was a writer, along with John D. Payne and Patrick McKay. And Luke, can you drop in with an episode description for us?
Queen Regent Muriel's faith is tested. Isildur finds himself at a crossroads. Elrond uncovers a secret. Arondir is given an ultimatum. Theo disobeys Bronwyn.
And so that happened. Or it maybe did. That's what they said would happen. We're going to start off with talking about Muriel, Pharazôn, Galadriel, Haldir, Elendil, Isildur, Arien, basically your Númenórean island people. Luke, start us off. Where do we go?
All right. Muriel dreams of a great flood. Pharazôn stirs up a crowd. Galadriel asks nicely for help.
So let's start with the flood. When that was the opening of the episode, Bailey, did you have any thoughts about the flood itself starting and Númenor before we realized it was maybe not the flood?
I was like, what happened between the last episode and this one that's going so terribly, terribly wrong?
The what did I miss moment?
Yeah, like, did I miss an episode? Was there 2 tonight?
Right. Riley, how about you? Was that a surprise?
I was just like, Galadriel really was not supposed to be here. Because I definitely was, at first I was like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, what is going on? So I was just like, she really messed up.
And I had other thoughts of, oh, there it is. But I was not expecting it. It was very soon for there to be that kind, right? That
I also was like,
missed.
back in Númenor. I don't know. For me, it's just like, we had a whole half episode on it. Like, here we are again.
Oh, great. More Númenóreans with all of their made up issues.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about some of those issues. We had some Númenóreans with issues. They were stirring up the crowd. And, we had the man from the fight earlier, whose name I don't remember.
I don't know if we really even got his name. It just the guildsman, is what we called him. I don't know if we had a name for him.
There was a name. I knew I should have written it down when I was doing my the Amazon where you could pause and
the
see.
X-ray.
Yeah, it was on there, but I didn't write it down. But then Pharazôn comes in and sort of takes over the crowd. How do you think he did with his handling of the crowd there?
I mean, he's definitely a man that has the ear of the people, right, is what it looks like to me. For good or for worse, he clearly seems to know what to say and how to get the bread and circuses back on track and get the status quo, met. I think he's pretty safe in his position right now, is where I'm at. He seems a very popular chancellor with the people.
I almost got the feeling like it was staged. Like, there was a look between Pharazôn and the guy that was stirring, and it felt to me like Farazan was almost thanking him for getting the riot started so he could come in and save the day and quell the people.
The warm-up act.
Yes.
Hmm. Thinking about Queen Regent Muriel and Farazan, her advisor, like, do you trust them? It's kind of my question for the group. Do you trust both of them? One of them? Like, are they on the side of the good? I don't know. I'm having a hard time reading them.
Do you want to go around the table and
Yeah,
see?
let's do that.
Muriel seems like she's got a lot. I mean, we learn more later in the episode, kind of what's going on, but she just gives off this unforthcoming presence where she's not giving everything away and she's making decisions based off of some amount of information that doesn't necessarily seem known to other people, or like some kind of fear, or I don't know. She just doesn't seem like she is a completely trustworthy person. Farazan feels like he's working from his best logic. Like he seems like he's pretty sound of mind and he has skills where it allows him to sway a crowd or make judgment in a courtroom, we've seen. And he seems like he might not know everything that Muriel knows. And so he seems a little bit more like believable in my opinion.
Bailey?
I feel like Muriel has this internal struggle going on because she's not like truly the ruler. She's the queen regent. So she has power, but she doesn't have all of the power. Like there's things I think that she can't enact for her people. So I feel like she's constantly struggling to walk the line of what she thinks the people want her to do versus what she might believe is right. Farazan, I feel is, I mean, he's a politician and he's good at what he's doing. He knows clearly how to work a crowd in order to get them to be happy and to say exactly what they want to hear.
I don't know if I could agree with Bailey anymore on some of these things. I'm completely with her on this. I think Farazan's a freaking slime ball. I think he is going to be a problem. I think he's a big reason why the elf hate is where it's at. I think or at least he falls into it and furthers that agenda wholeheartedly. And I don't necessarily think Muriel is on there. I think by knowing what the people want, knowing that her dad was just ousted for some of the pro-elf sentiment, she has to play things very carefully on who's listening, who needs to know what, when. And I think she is more pro-elf than not, but doesn't want to completely lose their family's position by being completely ousted. And so she kind of shows dissent from her father's beliefs just to maintain whatever grasp she can maintain.
Sure.
So I trust her. I don't trust him.
I feel like Muriel, well, she may not do what I want her to do because her interests do not align with what I think is best for Middle Earth, which is let's get Galadriel back there in a nice way and give her some help, as opposed to just taking care of silly old Numenor. I do think she has the interest of others at heart. Farazan strikes me as very Jafar, Grand Vizier-esque.
Oh, yeah.
And, the tropes in those movies never quite work out. So, but I also think I am not a politician. I don't have that skill set or personality. And so I tend to be annoyed by politicians blanketly because I don't appreciate I want to say slimeballness, but really the smoothness of the way that people who are more politician minded can talk a crowd or a group of people, because I'd rather just hear it and let's have a conversation than it be done with a manipulative purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to deal with an issue is to talk around it.
Says my Slytherin
I
little
was
brother.
going to use the S word on that one as
Yes,
well.
yes, I was.
Oh.
All right. The last part of this chunk was really that Galadriel asked nicely for her sort of, for help.
An attempt was made
It was.
to ask nicer. Well, to ask.
Nice-ish.
She tried to ask,
It did.
which is out of character for her before she just demanded. So it's a step. It's an improvement.
There were question marks
Look, she's
used.
growing.
Oh.
Don't call it a character arc yet, but
She actually spoke in like declarative or interrogative questions as opposed to declarative or imperative demands, right?
Mhm.
My grammar lesson for the night.
there you go.
It didn't work so much for her, but you know, it's a one small step.
Stubborn begets stubborn.
I like the power struggle between Muriel and Galadriel a lot, though. It's nice to see both of them owning their power. I mean, I obviously have a favorite and who I want to win. She didn't. She ended up in jail. But I have a favorite, but I like that neither one is cowed by the other. And I would say typically when you see two women having that kind of conversation in TV, it's usually portrayed as one bowing to the other or like a boss bitch and just evil. And neither one of them are evil. And neither one of them are written as that stereotype of women in power. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think they're showing that there are different types of power, whether you're male or female, and you don't just have to come across as a cranky old bitch, just try to force your way because you're more stubborn than the other person. I think both of these characters are just showing these are my beliefs, and either we can come to grips with that together or here we are stuck in an impasse.
All right, next section.
Isildur makes a decision, and his friends are less than pleased.
Riley, what'd you think about Isildur's life-changing action?
Did he make a decision though? Like, not to, but this is the scene where he like messed up and
He lets the rope go.
yeah. I don't know if that was like the shipmaster says that was intentional. I don't know if I believe that, but I guess you can call it his decision. His decision is to own up to it, I guess, in my eyes. It's unfortunate that his friends got tugged along with it. He was trying to take the bullet, probably, maybe intentionally. I could see that, but I don't know. I think the shipmaster made a mistake. Like, punish the guy who doesn't want to be there or whatever, do that, but don't punish the people that are trying their best and had no control over the situation. Seems short-sighted.
Agreements? Disagreements?
I feel like it's definitely a decision to not, do what he's supposed to do, which then causes the issue with the rope. Because there's a scene, in the scene where you see like he's looking at it and then he's thinking and he's looking at it and he's thinking and then it slips. And I feel like because he took so long in just thinking about the rope, that was the decision of like, yeah, no, I'm gonna mess up and I'm gonna get myself fired off of this ship, which clearly backfires for his friends who had nothing to do with the problem.
Yeah, I took it as pretty intentional that he chose that this was going to be his way of kind of getting out of being a cadet. And I think he jumps on, admitting it rather quickly to get them, safe. And that's what doesn't work out. And I think that's the mistake the shipmaster made of, blame all three of them when there's clearly one person like who would have been in charge of it. I think you clearly just try to set a precedent of like, hey, you guys all need to work as a team, no matter who the weak link is. All of you are at fault, I guess. But even a little bit further on, they're talking, the three boys, and he even kind of says, I didn't mean for you guys to go down with me. Like, I intended to take the full blame. I took that as I did this on purpose, and I did not intend for you guys to get in trouble as well.
I think this goes back to what I said last time. Isildur is wishy-washy. There just seems to be a lot of non-follow through with him. I wish I had gone back and watched just that part of episode 3 where he's sitting at the diner, if you will, or the restaurant with his dad and sister, and they start listing all the things he's already quit, because it felt like one more thing he quit. And so I'm not sure if
I feel
it's
like this was his way of trying to not quit. Like, if I get fired, my dad can't be mad.
That
I'm
makes
sure he
sense.
can, but maybe.
I see the teen logic in it.
Yes, he does strike as kind of a teen logic, not quite fully formed mental, frontal cortex thing going on there.
Mm. Where in a time like this, you might expect somebody of his age to be more fully put together. Like the expectation in these fantasy stories, and I would agree with Lord of the Rings, where we see children take up swords often. I feel like you expect more out of the development of these younger characters earlier. Like, you expect a girl to marry younger. You expect a man to pick up a blade sooner. You expect them to have a job quicker.
So yes, I'm going to throw a twist on you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying in Middle Earth, though, those of Númenorian line tend to live well into their 300s and or 400s. As the line has gotten diluted with non-Númenorian line, then it's not quite so long. But we're talking people who live 200-300 years.
Sure.
So potentially they don't. And elves don't mate that early, and they take thousands of years, right? And hobbits aren't considered adults until they're 33 years old. So there actually is in Middle-earth some precedence for you might look like an adult, but you're not.
Sure.
I don't know if that's true of men. And I would say, like the Southlands men, like Theo and Halbrand, that would be more true.
Yeah.
But Númenor might be different.
I could see that. I just haven't picked up on that distinction yet, but that
Right.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. My other argument towards my point was his friends seem pretty like put together and well thought, and like, yeah, maybe this is their only shot at a life, right? And so that's all they know. But like, it seems like those around him of his age are more stern in their beliefs and what they want.
I like this idea of him having a bit of a teenage brain going on, right? I think that fits quite well. And I think it's worth noting that it feels like they're trying to show that going into the Sea Guard is like a long-term commitment, that he's kind of on that precipice of, I either choose to just go and do the work and be, happy doing that for however long I can and do that, or is this really my last opportunity to try to chase this dream that is whispering to him, right? I think it's just it's like his goal, his dream that's manifesting itself in his head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's really a voice speaking to him necessarily. I think it's just us trying to see that he's on that pinpoint of time in his young life, and the way he feels about it is he's either got to make the move to try to do something great, or just follow his dad, do the safe thing that dad and parents want you to do, or do I take the risky thing and try to make something of myself in a different way? That's, I think, what I get from it. And I think it's almost like the graduation moment. Like, do I have to go and get a job right now? Do I have to go to college right now? Could I just do something for a little bit and then figure it out for myself? Or my dad's been a CPA for 30 years. Mom's a CPA. I guess I should go and be a CPA. Like, we don't really talk about accountants or anything, I know, but no, I think they're doing a good job of kind of bringing that high school graduator moment into a very different setting, that high school mentality, and afraid of facing the world.
I think we said that last time too. He wants a gap year.
Right. Yeah.
It sounds like he keeps trying to have a gap year,
Mhm.
but this is not his
He
first.
just needs to figure out who he is and what he wants.
Yeah.
Jay Cruz in the chat made a pretty good point. He should just say, I'm hearing voices in my head. You don't want my crazy self on this boat with
Hey.
you. Like,
Sometimes you just got to talk about it.
It's true.
I go back to maybe he should get some therapy for the voice that he heard. I'm just saying, it doesn't hurt. It can't get worse. Well, it wouldn't. Therapy would make it worse.
I don't know, Numenorian therapy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd trust it.
Yeah, I don't even know what their normal, like their body doctors look like, let alone
Yeah.
head shrinks. All right. Anything else about Isildur and his not so merry band of friends?
No.
Okay, other than they are rightfully not merry.
Yeah,
Yep, they
they're
are
not
justified.
Or Pippin.
No,
It's
they're
true.
not even Sam.
Man, unfortunate.
Yep.
Disappointment.
Kemen flirts with Arian over some scrubbing. Galadriel and Halbrand discuss tactics for understating enemies, and Galadriel alters Pharazon's escape plan.
So let's talk about Kemen. Do you know who like? How does
They-
Kemen fit into the whole story?
He seems like an adjacent Builders Guild prospect.
Any other thoughts, Bailey? What do you think? What do you know about Kemen?
I got the impression that he was like Pharazon's underling.
So according to the Amazon Prime description,
It does, at one point, Pharazon does say my son to him,
yes,
but that could be one of those, like, just an authority figure saying that, but I took it as it probably was actually his son.
yeah, I went.
The
I
way
went
he's
to,
trying to
it is.
mentally raise him in some of these moments, like, don't be clever, be wise. Like, yeah, either he's working for him or it's his dad. And since he did use that specifically, it seemed like that was the exposition moment that they were using to show that, hey, yes, this is Pharazon's kid.
Can I stop there for just a 2nd
Mhm.
and talk about the exposition moments that happen in less than 2 seconds like that?
Yeah, I miss a lot of them.
Yeah, I would say that is my biggest complaint is a large word. Hesitation about this show is that you miss a lot of things that are more important than you like. They're calling attention to some things, but not to the things that then come back quickly. And I read a thing that said this is a 5-year show. They already have like not all written, but they have the whole plot line written. They know how the end is, and they have things from season 1 that won't resolve till season 5. Cool. But a moment like that, and I don't know if it's the accents that they're using or background noise or what, but it's just not. It's almost like the sound mixing isn't enough to put emphasis on that, or there's something missing for me. And it's not just that moment; it happens over and over
It seems anti-Tolkien, where maybe he's not George R.R. Martin on how he describes lineages, but when he brings up something important, there's a half a page about it, like in the book. Like he makes a point of explaining things thoroughly and over describing from a person who doesn't love description. That a lot of these small, and I mean, I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but I definitely have noticed just in our conversations things that I haven't picked up on, and it seems like things happen very quickly and don't give a lot of, import on it. Where in the movies from Peter Jackson, there would be a bright light like shining down on like my son, or like a whole 3-minute scene about how the Lord of Gondor hates one of his sons but loves the other one. Like that gets drilled into you very apparently. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think their writing is trying to be more subtle, so it isn't like I think what you said anti-Tolkien. I think they're trying to be very wary of being overly Tolkien in descriptions, because that seems to be one of the criticisms that people say, like, oh, I just can't get into Tolkien because there's too much description. So I think they're trying to be more
Fair.
natural in conversation with things, but which maybe you miss things, but at the same time, they're trying not to hit you over the head with it, is how I take it. It is sometimes, could it be a little bit clearer? Sure. But I think that's one of the major things that it feels like they're being self-aware to not
Yeah.
be too much that.
Yeah.
Sidebar. Sorry. Just me.
That's all right.
So he flirts with Arian.
Iarian.
Thank you. See, you just keep fixing me all the time. I will not be offended. Arian over some scrubbing. Like, I'll wash this and you wash that, and then we can get dinner. I don't know. I don't know if I like the flirting. Anyone else?
Is
They
Iarian?
have to have some reason for Arian to be there, right?
I'm still confused
Yeah.
as to why she's there. So this
It's-
is actually giving her a plot.
This isn't Isildur's sister, or it is.
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
This is
yeah.
Isildur's
It is.
Okay. And she's in the Builders Guild, and she's good at architecture. Yeah. I have a weird feeling that we're gonna get some J plus R weird lineage stuff, weird lineage stuff that ties into Aragorn. That is my prediction. That because Aragorn is the heir of Isildur, right? I think we're gonna get some weird. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's his sister. Maybe I have a weird feeling that, and that's not the only reason that a female character should be in the show. I'm sure there's many other like possibilities, but that's where my head goes, is that like she's going to be some level of important to the line of their family that comes down later.
And was not really necessarily brought about in the true lineage telling.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's leaning towards she's going to end up with Farazan's son, and that's going to create some dissent within their own, the Elendil family
Sure.
kind of thing. It seems like what it's leaning towards from just this first blush thing. I think it's going to be almost a split from what Isildur is doing and Elendil's doing to what she is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
I am annoyed by it because I would like to know where Isildur's brothers are. He's supposed to have brothers.
Maybe they're already in the guard.
I think he's supposed to have brothers.
Just one.
Unless Isildur has
I think
sons.
they've mentioned at least one.
He's got one brother.
Which is an older brother. It sounds
It sounded like they were describing him as an older brother in here, but he's supposed to be about 10 years younger than Isildur in the main text from
Which
the
is-
books.
also I have issues with, but it's fine. I will look it up later, I suppose. All right. Other parts of this scene, Galadriel and Halbrand are, stuck in a jail together. They discuss tactics over understanding their enemies. So I like that Galadriel's kind of all hell bent, but Halbrand has some wise words.
Another point for Team Halbrand in my 10 points for Halbrands.
So are you Team Halbrand?
Yeah, I mean, he's savvy. And I think coming from my Slytherin background, understanding what others fear, whether or not you're trying to control them or defeat them, there's not much stronger influential emotion than fear that at least leads to driving action. So understanding how to control that, coming from an avid Survivor watcher, when you can sense the fear of another player in that game, you tend to have an advantage over them, especially when you can work your way around controlling it.
Bailey, how about you?
I mean, he's absolutely got a point that, you're not approaching this from the right angle. You need to figure out what exactly it is that she wants and try to help her with that. And then maybe you'll get what you want. And Galadriel has this like, why did I not think of that before look on her face? Like, of course he's right.
And why do we think she hasn't thought about it before? I mean, does that make sense for the character arc we've seen with her so far?
She hasn't been in contact with other people for centuries.
And she's been
She's never
constant,
had to think about what anyone else wants but herself.
and she's been in this manic phase of warfare for so long. And the things you do in battle and war are different than the things you do in peacetime. I don't know.
Fear takes a whole new meaning when you're in war, right?
Yeah.
The things you fear when you're in wartime are much different than the things that you fear in peacetime. Recognizing the import of a lowly fear that somebody who doesn't understand bloodshed in battle isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do when you've seen horrible things and done horrible things.
Yeah. Then there's an attempted escape for Galadriel. Sort of. And she gets out, but it's not how they intended for her to get out. And then there's some crossing and double crossing. So Farazan shows up. Do you think he had direction to do that, or did he do that on his own?
I think that was what Muriel and him
Had
had
it
decided.
intended,
Like,
yeah.
I think that was truly, like, he was there, bring her directly to a ship. You're leaving. You're not going to talk to anybody else. Like, just leave. Like, kind of a middle ground for what Muriel wanted and what Galadriel initially, like, she's finally just following through with the initial demand that she made, that Galadriel made. And yeah, I mean, it just feels exactly with where the conversation was earlier between Galadriel and Muriel. It's like she seems to think Galadriel's getting what she wants outside of the other pieces of the conversation that Muriel doesn't want to open up again. This is okay, let's just get rid of that conversation and send you on your way. Please leave now. Doesn't really happen very well.
No, because she has other ideas. And she's only successful because Halbrand has a conversation. So, Bailey, what do you think about that? Halbrand kind of putting his 2 cents in with Farazan.
It's so funny. Like, he doesn't want to help Galadriel. At least he doesn't want to go back to the Southlands to help Galadriel. But he still, like, helps her along the way and is a convenient distraction. I feel like he and Galadriel are growing their connection, and they're starting to realize that they have more in common as of the last episode than they thought they did, and that they can really work together to improve the world.
Does Halbrand? I don't know. I think Halbrand's pretty content where he's at, though. Because he didn't seem to try.
It's his way of helping without having
That's
to
what
like,
it is.
go
Okay.
out and help.
That makes sense. Like, I'll help you, but I don't actually want to go. Right? I can stay here. It just gives him advice
I
and
can stay in my house, right?
and send you one. That sounds great. Let's do that.
But he also helps Farazan too. He specifically says, you can let her go, especially if you know exactly where she's going to be going to. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly where she's going, so you don't need to worry about
Let
trying
her
to find
go.
her. Like, don't get in a scrap where you might get killed, because she's kind of badass. Like, she just took your 4 dudes out, like, with no hesitation or effort, really. You might not want to open this this jar of worms for you. Self-preservation, man. And he knows what Farazan wants. At least he's gauging in that moment, like, hey, he's going to protect his skin, but he also can't just let her go. So Halbrand kind of eases that over, like, it's okay. Like, it's all right. You can lose this battle, but you might not lose your personal
You're
war
not
right
gonna
now.
lose your job.
Right.
Can we just can Halbrand get more points?
Oh, yeah.
I think he gets more points for this because I appreciate his level of brilliance in avoiding the actual conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wasn't good. I mean, how many times we see the guy in the jail cell just watching it and completely saying, "Oh, not my problem." And he's kind of that, right? He's like, I'm not getting involved. But if we could make this a calm way of resolving this problem, it's almost like he's whisper coaching everybody. I'm just gonna help everyone. I'm not playing sides. If we could all just like bring it down a little bit.
Minimize the death.
And here's how you can do it.
But here's how it benefits him. if you show to everyone around you that you have, let's say all he has is good advice, they're going to want to keep asking you. Right? So I feel like he is content being in jail, but every chance that he gets to talk, he does. And he's brilliant when he does. And I feel like he knows that if Galadriel was never in jail, he might not have as many opportunities to show to Pharazôn that he can help Pharazôn, right? A person who's got a lot of self-interest, it seems. So who's to say down the line Halbrand doesn't get called on to be some sort of advisor in the court, you know?
No, he's definitely winning brownie points from both sides.
Yeah.
When it comes, he is very much helping his cause in either way without really even fighting against the sides that he's actually working for. He's truly just working for both. Not even at the disadvantage of the others. It's kind of interesting. I think he's a brilliant character.
I'd love to see him on Survivor.
Yes.
100%. He'd
He's
win.
betting on every horse in the race.
So that he's the one horse left.
Yeah. Because if you take out you and you take out you, but you do it in a way that you don't notice I'm the one really pushing and pulling the strings, then yeah, I don't have to work hard for it.
I get
You're
no blood
working.
on my hands.
I really think he just wants to stay under the radar entirely. Like, I don't think he wants anything out of this. He's going to get stuff out of this.
But why would he
It just doesn't seem like he wants it.
Why would he have made such a big scene at the brew house if he wanted to entirely stay under the radar?
He's just looking for a job. He was trying to get that guild going.
He's got some Dumbledore schemes going on. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, so I know we're not exactly like spoiler free. I know. But there are specific plot points that happen in the Second Age, especially at the end of the Second Age, with the final ruler of Numenor and a character from the outside of Numenor that has a lot of similar like beats that I'm seeing with Halbrand. Somebody in jail, and then you get on the good side, and then you start giving advice. And while I don't know if Halbrand is that character from the beats, that's what it feels like to me. So I'm
Are
wondering
we in the Second Age?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if if he is a red herring that's supposed to have people like me who have, some of the background knowledge-y stuff. Is he the red herring to throw us off the scent of the actual person who's going to come in at some point? Or is he this person who comes in? And it's hard for me to gauge, because sometimes I think, oh, Halbrand is this, like the actual lord of whatever in the Southlands. And sometimes I think he's this other character. And sometimes I think he's probably not any of those. I don't know. I like him because I can't
Place him.
place him, but they keep doing things that keep me guessing. And I appreciate that level, so that there are people who have way more knowledge than I do who can feel that and be engaged without just saying, oh, well, I don't know anything. No, there's little hints here and there. And I feel like the stranger is another one, and Adara is another one like that.
All three of those characters, there's a lot of things that they could be.
Yes.
A lot. And a lot of them are the same characters that they could be.
Yes. And you don't know how they fit, and you don't need to know any of this to enjoy the show. But if you know it, it's still...
So here's the thing. None of them are actually real.
Okay.
They're all imaginary, dead people just following along with Galadriel.
Remember back to our episode 1, or it was either the first or the second one, conversation about the stranger potentially being Sauron. And somebody said that Sauron is a person that puts on a good face and shows
He can
and speaks
shapeshift
well.
and yeah.
I initially thought that was Lord Celebrimbor, but could be Halbrand working his magic in Numenor. Could be talking his way through up to the high points of Numenor. The true Sauron.
Absolutely an open door right now. Absolutely.
That.
There are
Tinfoil
several,
hat.
not that tinfoily. absolutely possible.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's
exactly.
kind of, it's, I'll just throw out there, I think Halbrand's either Sauron or he's going to end up being the Witch King of Angmar.
Is
I
that
think
not the same person?
No.
No. Witch King is the head
the
of,
Dragon Rider,
yeah, the
the
Nazgul.
Nazgul Rider.
Yeah,
I think Theo could end up being one too.
I think he absolutely is going to be a Ringwraith.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with him. I think he's going to be a Ringwraith. Certainly.
Like, there,
I didn't even think about becoming a Ringwraith as like a
you need 9
possibility.
kings.
Right. And so they're all going to become kings in their own right. I think Theo is on that track. We can spin this tale a lot, but
sure.
Sauron makes a lot of sense for Halbrand too, with the putting on a pleasant face, working his way into becoming an advisor, instructing people. It's
Until they introduced Adam.
yeah.
And then they're like,
Yeah.
then I went a whole other way with it. But
I think all 4 of them are characters will
Hey,
know
Lord
for a long time.
Celebrimbor, I'm telling you, don't forget about him. He's schemy.
he is, but he at least
This
he,
episode, he gets better.
he is filling exactly the role he is supposed to fill within the written history.
Yeah.
He is exactly doing that. And he will still be schemy.
Yeah.
But he's at least true to character.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Last bit of this first group of people.
Galadriel heads to the king's room where she discovers Muriel's secret. Muriel reveals that Numenor has been told to repent and show Galadriel her Palantir.
So the king's not doing well.
No, he's in dire straits, it seems.
Foreseeable.
Because
Why would a king be locked away in a tower and not leading? He's probably about to die.
why aren't they telling anybody?
How is no one gassed? That's like, where is he that what he would be doing otherwise besides king stuff, if not, on his way out.
I don't know. And then, like, he was an elf friend. Did you guys catch that
Mhm.
in the episode that they mentioned elf friend? Did you know that before? Was that mentioned in an earlier episode?
Yeah, they said that last episode. That was why he was removed from his seat, pretty much.
And it was given to her.
Yeah, that was talked about in episode 3 when she
Okay.
was in the House of Laws or the lore room with Elendil.
Who's to say? I don't know how the leadership structure of Numenor works, but who's to say that if the king is no longer king, that the queen regent actually becomes the queen? Who's to say that in their line of power that maybe that's why she hasn't told anybody, because once he's done, her claim to the throne weakens.
Yeah, it could not be as set as
Yeah.
it seems.
I do think there is precedence, though, because there was one other queen. She was an only child, and her father and mother did not get along, and they just had the one. And basically, I think, if I remember correctly, the king basically took his daughter and said, "I'm raising her," and she just was his. And the mom was off living somewhere else, and she became queen. And then her line continued.
Sure.
But so there is precedent for
Yeah.
it. But I think a different time there was also dissent. I don't think with that one, but another time I think a cousin or something may have gotten the call as opposed to a daughter. So
Sure.
the girl who was queen happened more recently than the one who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have people who are not big fans of the king anyway because he's an elf friend. So what a great time to overthrow that line and go somewhere else. So I think you're got some good thoughts there. There's a secret door. The first of secret doors that we kind of see. Bailey, they go up some stairs. What do you think about Muriel's reveal?
I mean, clearly it shows that she's willing to lend a little bit of trust with Galadriel. And, okay, I'm going to show you my card here because now you know something that nobody else knows about my father. So, what the heck? I might as well show a little more and, reveal this prophecy of what's supposed to come to Numenor.
What do we think about the prophecy? Especially in comparison to the dream at the beginning of the episode. More weight to it? Still think it might be just a dream?
I guess they should stop burning fossil fuels.
Do go on.
That's the end of it.
That's all I got.
Definitely doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, during that scene, I watched it twice, and both times I just kept thinking, where are the other Palantirs? I didn't really, like, I know it sounds really terrible, but there are moments in the show that lose my interest. This was one of them. So I'm sure I missed, again, going back to I missed details. I think I missed details in that part. Is there anything that I probably should have noticed? Sounds terrible.
On the Palantir thing, real quick, I think it's worth noting that the king who's in bed, his name is Lord Palantir. They
Yeah.
call him the far-sighted king, is kind of where his name comes from. And Palantir means far-sighted. So these seeing stones, right, we're fairly familiar with them after the Lord of the Rings movies. But yeah, it was a little surprising that they said they're all lost, because I didn't think that was necessarily the case in this time period, because they end up going on boats together later on. We'll talk about that later on, I'm sure, because I think they're going to get back to that. And they're put in very specific areas later on that we all know.
By very specific people that we've met.
That at least two of them we've met. One we haven't, but we've heard about them. So I thought it was interesting they brought those up too. And it seems like we know Galadriel has some seeing abilities as well on her own that we see later. And it seems, I don't know if she necessarily has much of that currently, or if it develops over time, partially because of this. But it was interesting to see that she kind of got the same information that Muriel got, right? About the Great Wave, right? Also, hey, everyone do your Great Wave again. Woo! So I don't know specifically if I care too much about the prophecy version of this or not. I was more interested in seeing the Palantir as well, I'll be honest.
Yeah, like that was the cool part. I didn't really care what it showed. Terrible. Absolutely terrible of me. All right. Last thoughts on Numenor before we wander off to a different part of Middle-earth.
Spending a lot of time there.
Cool. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go see Arondir, Bronwyn, and Theo.
An orc is put out of his misery, and Arondir has a heart-to-heart with Adon.
Adar.
Adar. You're right.
I will fix that because I can spell. I can't pronounce things, but I can spell. Got it.
Adar.
I have it correct earlier. All right, with Adar. So, is Adar as scary as we thought he was going to be last episode?
I'm just wondering where his giant elk is.
Nope, I don't get the reference. Sorry.
Benjen Stark. Same
Yeah,
actor.
Is it?
Yep.
it is. That makes
Yep.
sense.
Oh,
So there you go. Another Game of Thrones
Look
reference for me.
familiar.
Yeah. The messed up skin
Yeah.
thing going
Threw it
on
off a little
things
bit.
a little tough, but as soon as you know it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, absolutely, like, clearly, same eyes, everything you can tell. It seems like a genuine guy. He like
Right.
cares about his orcs.
But
like
we
he,
haven't gotten any, like...
am I wrong? Like he seems to really care about ending. You know, he does this out of mercy for this orc. He ends the orc's life. He's like tearing up in this moment. I thought it was kind of sweet.
We don't get any sort of...
He's definitely showing care for the things that he's interested in.
But we don't know
Not
what he's
something that's
interested in.
good.
Yeah, we don't really know what his motives are, but
Exactly.
it doesn't really matter. I mean, this is still a life to him, where most of the time we think of orcs as mindless brutes with no feelings, nothing, right? There's just a mindless horde of zombie killing things kind of thing. And he shows actual sorrow for the loss of this life. I don't know. I thought that was a unexpected thing to have from this captain of such a group that's usually just almost mindless, brainless, emotionless. That was a nice change of pace for me. Also, not that scary. Like, he definitely isn't playing the big, malicious kind of leader, he's going about means for motives that we're not exactly sure on. We know he's looking for the hilt. We find that out later at least, but outside of that, we don't really know what he wants.
No, and I don't know. And he has elf ears.
Mm-hmm.
He is definitely an elf.
Is an elf? Was an elf?
At least half.
Any idea there, Bailey, what he could be?
Yeah. Not specifically. I mean, it clearly has elf-like characteristics. I don't know how you could like become a former elf. I don't know. Or, just a reformed elf. Maybe you've taken up a new religion, if you will.
He definitely seems like he has some sort of one motive we do know or can assume is that he wants to become something greater when he says, I'm not a god yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think
That's not
there's
concerning.
some magic-y potential going on with him. I think he might be an orc creator.
That's hitting on something that I was kind of thinking. It almost seems, because we know that orcs were created from twisted elves. This almost seems like he could have been one of those earlier forms that was then manipulated further into the orcs that we see. We kind of talked about this last episode of even the orcs that we see 3,000 years, 2,000 years later look a little different than the orcs we see now. It's almost like there's a constant evolution of them, and he's one of the earlier prototypes that was used to get into what the orcs are now. It's kind of a thought that I had because they're kind of elfy ears, but they're a little rounded, sort of like they're a bit in between. Or he could be half orc, half elf, or he could be something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's totally possible. Again, there's a chance that he could be Sauron. I don't think it's necessarily likely because they specifically have said that a couple times. Like, Revion, the elf leader, he's like, Sauron used to use a lot of different names. Maybe this is him. To me, that's like almost guaranteed it's not going to be him because they have already called that out. And, the head of the orcs, it's probably Sauron. Like, it's the really obvious expected thing. And I don't think they're going to be doing that. So I like the idea that he's something either that we haven't seen where he's kind of one of a part of the orc creation mythology or just something completely different.
Anything else about our scene in the orc pit?
So he talks to Arondir, right? And he Arondir is told basically, you need to go deliver this message. Like, I'm going to let you go, but
I'll let them live.
But you have to deliver this message, and we don't really know what the full message is at that point, do we? Or does he just says, you go and deliver a message for me, and he lets him go. So there's that.
All right, next scene.
Bronwyn needs more supplies. Theo ventures off and utilizes his new toy to defend himself from the orcs.
Bailey, you kind of chuckled there. What was your thought about the little...
The new toy, which turns out to be exactly what the orcs have been looking for this entire time.
That is brand new information that we didn't at all think about.
No, why would they be looking for it?
Oh, I like the son and mother argument that happens prior to, a little bit of toy play. That probably is not the right.
You can either make it harder or help me.
Yes. And because I think at one point she was like, then we'll eat the rats or something. And he's like, but that'll only feed us for a day. Then we'll eat for one more day and we'll figure it out then. His whole point is we can go get all the food that's just like hanging out, Mom. I could do it.
We know where it is.
Right. I don't know. I appreciate both arguments in that one. Because as a mom, you're like, you're my kid. You're on lockdown because I don't want you to die. And as the teenage kid, like, but I got it. It goes back to that teenage brain we were talking about with the Sildor, but in a different light, right? I can handle it. I'm fine, Mom. I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not really rooting for Theo. I think he's a dirtbag. He is going the wrong way.
I don't think he's a dirtbag yet.
He's shown every indication that he wants to be a dirtbag.
Yes,
is where I'm at.
Yeah.
He is not a sweet kid. He can be off at any moment, and I'd be fine with it.
I'm pro Theo.
I'm pro him getting his head chopped off.
He's trying his best to do things his own way, not follow the rules, but still make an impact, because rules are bullshit, and helping people and getting things done is what matters.
So I have one team Theo and one team anti-Theo. Bailey, where do you fall on that spectrum?
Team indifferent about Theo. I could care less.
Team indifferent. We're gonna get T-shirts that say that.
Antitheosis.
There you go.
And yeah, that's funny. I kind of agree with Bailey. I don't care yet. I like his mom. I love Rondir. Theo's just an annoying kid to me at this point. That if I'm gonna watch a kid, I'd rather watch, Poppy and Nori and the cult of the Harfoots, who we don't see at all in this episode, which is okay, but
You made me even more Team Theo when he said he's going to become a ring wraith.
Oh, to me, it's almost a certainty at this point.
I love it.
unless he dies early.
I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
No, they've invested too much time in him.
Yeah, he's gonna be around for a while. Damn it.
Which means he won't be a ring wraithy for a while, so we'll have to go through all kinds of plot.
Just he
More
should just
teenage antics.
lean into it now, even though it's not even an option. Just lean into being a wraith and just accept the mantle when it bestows upon you.
All right. Next, so I mean, do we want to talk about the fight with the orcs?
Yeah, because the sword thing was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it
Go
was.
Like,
Lightsaber sword.
regardless of how I feel about Theo, that thing is cool.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to learn to use it, certainly.
Mhm.
And he clearly kind of, I think, had already messed around with it enough to understand what it could do. Because that's when they're setting off a couple episodes ago, and he says, "I'm ready." I think he was very much showing that I understand how to use this is what I took
Sure.
that as. Because in this moment, he clearly, it almost seems like it's a blood magic kind of thing. It has to pierce his skin, and then it does it, because we'll talk about it later on. It leaves a mark on his arm from using it as well. So I just thought it was a cool magical implement, certainly.
We love magic items.
Yep.
Team indifferent
looked
over
cool.
here. I don't know.
It did look cool. It looked very the dark saber from Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I don't love that, like, oh, Theo's about to die. Arondir saves the day, and he's there perfectly. Like, I hate that stuff. It's cheap.
It's
like,
overused.
give Theo the chance to do it himself. Like, if you're gonna put the time into this character, give him a chance to earn it.
Yeah, I would have liked him to pull
And if
the.
he can't do it himself, then let him die.
Yeah, I think in that moment it would have been another great opportunity for him to pull that sword out and really show that he's kind of learning to truly use it, and then be able to just get out for himself and maybe get saved on his way out, but save himself in that moment, not the off-screen.
Well, and
arm
that's a little
chopped
bit
off.
later than what we're talking about at the moment. The around
This is not the escape. The escape is later on.
No,
Correct.
This is,
Yeah.
He ends up in a well.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, we jumped early.
We did, but that's okay. Let's jump.
Yeah, so going into that, Rowan returns with the cart of supplies, but alone. Theo almost loses an arm playing hide and seek with the orcs, but gets saved by Arondir in a well-timed sunrise. Sunrise, sunset.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh man.
All right. Now you may go on and be annoyed that he doesn't actually lose his arm, and that he doesn't save himself, and that, while I love Arondir and I appreciate the hero showing up at the right time, very much like Aragorn saving.
Arondir, this is your Aragorn moment.
Yes, or Boromir trying to save the.
Yeah.
Halflings.
Thank you. I'm fine. Pippin and Merry,
Mhm.
second reference to them of the night, against the Uruk-hai. That's what this felt like to me.
Yep.
But then they ran to the clearing, and then his mom showed up. Was anyone else confused? Like, how did she get here?
She ran.
More like, how did she get here so quickly? Was my thought.
Well, I think there was definitely some time between when Rowan got back and when Theo finally got out of the well. I think he was in there for a while because it was cloudy earlier, but now it's dark.
Pitch black.
Like it was nighttime now, and it was not that early.
Mid
when he went in.
escape, sun comes up, so it's well into the morning.
So she's had all night to run back to town, is how I took it. It is very convenient timing for plot narrative, but I think there was enough time passed that could make sense. We don't know how far the elf tower is. It can't be too far, right? Because that's where the watch
And they
elves
visited
were.
the town like once a week-ish. So, sure.
Yeah.
I go back to, I don't know. That's a lot of, I don't know.
Like, she finds them in the middle of the forest conveniently.
Mhm.
Like, there's a lot of forest to search, I'm sure. I mean, you're probably hearing the ruckus to clue you in that, hey, it's in that direction.
But it's all, I mean, also one would assume that that would be a well-traveled path from the town to the tower, but it didn't look like a path.
No, it definitely looked just like the path untaken. You know, it looked overgrown. Run of the mill, running through a woods area. The woods is
Very Blair Witch Project.
The wood is.
I'm gonna find a unicorn.
Well, if it's a Stephen King novel, you're gonna find some sort of shapeshifter evil thing. But
Yeah.
it was very like Girl Who Loves Tom
Gordon, yeah.
feel to it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was also, I watched it during the day, my fault, too dark. This show, too dark.
When they do dark, they do.
It is
dark.
too dark.
I have to close all of my.
I don't have that option
windows
because my
and-
cat destroyed my blinds. So
okay.
Cats.
it is too dark. Like, cannot see at all what's going on. Oh, there's Arondir's face, kind of, and then there was literally like
I agree.
10 seconds of pitch black where I was like, don't know what's going on at all.
That's really. I didn't notice.
I was watching
anything
this
like
morning
that.
and had to turn off the lights in the room because I could not see anything.
Huh.
Yep.
I wonder if the plasma TV, which is better at blacks, is. I just didn't notice because that's what I've been watching it on.
Too good at blacks.
Well, it's. I don't know. I didn't notice any time. There was nothing like the Battle of Winterfell, where, in my opinion, where like you.
Oh, this is worse for me.
Oh, really? I just didn't notice at all. I'll pay attention now that I'm thinking about it, but
Yeah,
clearly
no.
never once when I was like lost, like that I couldn't see anything. But that's, I don't know. That's 3 for 3 on you guys saying similar things. So
Which means you're wrong.
not necessarily. We're not watching on the same devices,
Whatever. I just like when you're wrong. Okay.
right? In a different way.
Any.
I was watching on my sidekick, my T-Mobile sidekick.
I got my Razor, my Motorola Razor out and watching on there.
At least it wasn't my Nokia. It's fine. Anything else about the well-timed sunrise? I mean,
Convenient.
yeah, good plot, I suppose. Wasn't as well done as Tolkien did it in The Hobbit.
Right.
Nobody turned to stone.
Yeah, I'm always curious, like how much sunlight can the orcs really take? Like, are they just like really prone to sunburn? Like, what is it? You know, it's not like vampire stuff where they'll just die. Like, it's not because they're just in the sunlight,
Dust.
and then they just like kind of hang out and like slowly get back. You know, it's
They start to burn a little bit. We
Oh.
saw that in the previous episode.
yeah, it's just what that timeline is. Like
Yeah.
they just burn bad. They just
Mm-hmm.
sucks for them.
All right. Last scene in the Southlands.
Bronwyn thanks Arondir, who delivers the message from Adar. Swear fealty and forsake the lands, or Adar is coming for Osterreath. Waldrake confronts Theo over the artifact and shows his loyalty to Sauron. An orc reports to Adar that it has been found and is in the tower.
So, thankfully, Bronwyn and Arondir only spoke for a very short amount of time. Anyone else feeling we didn't really want to see the flirting happen for too long? Just my take.
I'm indifferent.
I thought she was gonna
bother me.
kiss him,
I mean, I did too.
but it was very public. Like the way where
They
they
were
put
very
it,
close.
she walks right up into his grill, right?
Mhm.
In a very public place. Like they were on like a bridge on the wall, like the ramparts, and like there were people walking around, like all behind them.
Yep.
It just felt like that would have normally been a moment where that could have happened, where there would have been more intimacy between them. But it just didn't happen. I don't know. A little indifferent as well.
Yeah. I'm just glad it ended quickly. So we hear Adar's message, swear fealty and forsake the lands. That's not quite so giving as what we might have thought of Adar earlier in the episode.
Courtesy. He's given the option. Hey, join or die. That's
Except you have to swear fealty and forsake the lands. I feel like it should be an option.
like, hey, you can stay here if you're
Well,
working
and
for me.
if you're gonna be loyal,
Right.
wouldn't he want to like leave them someplace to live where they're kind of close by to, help?
Pull from like some armies.
Where's the leave option?
Well, that's the forsake.
That's what is the option.
That's die.
Oh,
Yeah, like you can forsake your lands, you can leave. But it's not you can either leave or swear fealty. It's that you have to swear fealty to me and leave. You have to do both
That's
of
a
those.
little odd.
It's like, hold on, wait a second.
I want your tower and I don't want you here.
But you need to be loyal. We're somewhere else though. It's a little odd.
And I think maybe that's where my line was like, okay, too far. Too far, right? I mean, I think Adar is
Yeah,
obviously
one or the other.
right. But both? Am I supposed to go off and be your prophet in the other lands to join fealty to you? God Adar, is that what he means? I'm gonna send you off 2 by 2 to spread the good word. I'll write a book for you
Bring
that you
me
can
more
share.
followers.
I don't know. I did put in there the title of the tower is Oztiliath, which I thought was, I had to rewind like 3 times. It was like, it's not Osgiliath, and it's not the Tower of Gondor is,
Minnesota Nor.
but what is it? The T word for it.
I'm blanking on it right now too.
it's not Tirith.
Osgiliath is the town across
Right
the
across
river
from Minas
that
Morgul.
used to be the head of Gondor. And then once the Mordor side fell to Mordor, they moved the seat of Gondor, if you will, to Minas
Ecthelion.
Minas Tirith.
The Tower of Ecthelion. The White Tower of Ecthelion.
Yeah, Minas Tirith is what I'm thinking of. So we had Osgiliath and Minas Tirith, and this is Oztiliath. So it just felt, I don't know if this is something that was in Tolkien or if they were like, hey, what if we just like combine those names for our tower? Because it
Yeah, I
has
mean,
the
this is
feel of
before
it.
those would have been built.
It
So
is.
I thought that this was the Oz Tirith Tower that is like what they go by in the Mordor lands.
So that is Barad-dûr. That's the Tower of Barad-dûr. And Sauron builds that later.
Okay. Not the underground city, right?
No, that's Mines of Moria.
No.
Underground city.
Like the big, where all the army comes out. Like,
That's Minas Morgul.
yeah. Okay.
The one that has a big green
Yeah,
spire.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we'll end up seeing those.
Yeah, probably towards the end, season 5.
But we're in Mordor, right? Like the Southlands is
Not
like.
We don't know.
necessarily. We're somewhere in the area. We don't know specifically. We're probably south of where Mordor really is.
All
So
right.
do you remember the scene in Lord of the Rings where Sam and Frodo watch with Faramir the hordes of men coming up from the south with the giant elephants?
Elephantes.
Oliphants.
Yeah.
Oliphants.
The
Timothy
Oliphants.
Oliphants.
So they're they're the Southron men.
Mm-hmm.
This show is specifically using the term Southlands, not Southron,
They've used that term in there, though.
but not very often.
It has happened, though.
Yes.
Certainly.
So I get the impression this is more, and all of those people in the Southrons were all
Loyal.
loyal to Sauron. I get the impression this is how he gets his foot in the door down there to keep them somehow loyal. Because the other thing that's talked about is Mordor has no farmland, right? Very little water sources. How do they feed all of those hundreds and hundreds of orcs? Well, they've got all these farmlands in the south that have a pipeline of food that they stream up and they ship up. And you gotta get your infrastructure in place before you can build. To me, this is the infrastructure building.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Last scene for them. We did that.
We
Let's see.
did that.
Waldrag. Ooh, Waldrag, the bar man.
That was not surprising at all. Some of the conversations that have happened around him, his innkeeping stuff, and it was in his barn that the hilt was found. I'm glad that they just got right to the point of like, yeah, I know all about it. Like, you see that little mark on your arm? I've got one too. So like, let's cut right to the chase. That's one thing I do like that this show does sometimes. They don't really beat around the bush on certain things where I'm just like, that could have been moved to next episode and have like a real not committal conversation where they alluding to it. It's like, just get to it. Like, let's set some of these pieces in motion.
Things that could put screen time on.
We're halfway through the season right now. We've got to get to a point where season 1 actually builds to a big thing, and it has to happen in each area, right? This one things have happened, but there's a really big subplot that's just been boiling, and now we're finally letting it come to a head a little by showing that Waldrag is one of those people that have always kind of still been for the Sauron type stuff. And he calls Theo out right away saying like, you're just like me. Hey, I know, don't lie to me. I know what you have. It's all right. Just know that he's going to be coming back probably soon. That's what that starfall meant. So I like that they're getting to the point.
I have two things here. One, once again, I'm really excited to have a purposeful starfall.
Yep.
Okay. Two, I really like that they have taken the trope of the old barman who's just there for background and now made him valuable. He has a purpose.
Mm-hmm. It's relevant.
Yes. And that doesn't happen very often. So I appreciate.
He's no Quoth.
Never played D&D.
No.
But it's not just an information dropper, is what.
Yeah, no, I know.
Right. It's not, ooh, I'm the.
Like I said,
He's no Quoth.
He's no Quoth. That's all.
100%. All-time greatest barkeep.
Greatest bartender of all time.
All right. Anything else about that before we get back to Adar? Okay. They found their thing. Boss knows.
Hey, busman, we found the thing.
Did you get the thing?
We don't have it for you,
No.
but we know where it is.
I think that's a real mistake that orcs don't speak in like Boston Italian. Like, they'd be such a better show.
I mean, dwarfs speak in
I'm
Scottish
here for it.
accents, so why not?
It's a good question.
I think you should write in and make that change.
Okay. Maybe season 3 it'll get in.
Hey, Ryan Condal. Updates now needed.
Have the voiceover guys start working on it.
The next evolution of your orcs, they need to have an accent.
But like a very specific American accent.
Yeah, make us the bad guys. That's right.
I'm down for it.
I mean, how's that unusual? No, okay. Right? Don't we already take other people? Isn't that how our country is made? Taking from all the others and sort of mixing it up.
Classic Empire stuff.
Right. It's fine. I think that's what
It's a
orcs are doing.
proven concept.
All right, I'm ready to jump ship, or by jump ship, go deep underground. Let's go to Khazad-dûm and hang out with Elrond, Celebrimbor, Disa, and Durin. Bailey, walk us through our first set of scenes there.
Celebrimbor reminisces. Elrond's attempt to visit Durin is thwarted by Disa. Elrond overhears Disa and Durin talking about the old mine, so he goes to investigate. Elrond swears an oath. The box is revealed to hold a newly discovered orb, Mithril.
Let's start with Celebrimbor because I feel like that's Riley's favorite person to talk about. What are your thoughts on his little?
I know you're dead. I don't know. He's schemy and old, and I don't like him. But
Not only skeevy, he's also old.
yeah,
Which makes it worse.
Elves shouldn't be old.
No, they shouldn't.
I know that was a gripe you've had.
I really like what happens in the next scene.
Go for it.
No, just I'll talk about it when we get there. But like another group of characters are like on the same page as I am about him, and I'm definitely team my people, which is the dwarves.
Is anybody team Celebrimbor?
I'm not against him. I think he's got plans. I wouldn't call them schemes. I think he's got a big thing going on, and he's just looking for help. He gets the help. They're helping him.
Yeah.
But
And it's the greatest.
They are helping him.
What did they say? The greatest.
Coming together of
Of
dwarves and
dwarves and
elves.
that's a major champion. That's a win right there.
Bailey, how about you? Celebrimbor, good guy, evil slime ball.
I'm unsure of his motives. I honestly don't know. I still go back to the fact that he wants this tower done so quickly that like there's got to be some sort of nefariousness going on here.
Nobody's questioned him yet.
Why would you? He's
No,
a nice
which
little
is-
guy.
He's
weird.
only ever talked to Elrond.
Or,
And
yeah,
Gilgalad.
he's making Elrond his mouthpiece to do all of his bidding.
Well, use the tools you have.
Did you just call Elrond a tool?
Can't be
For
at fault
Celebrimbor,
if you
yes.
didn't.
He is. He's using.
Can't be
He's,
at fault if you didn't specifically say the things to get them started.
Because technically it was Elrond's idea to ask the elves, and
The dwarves.
technically he was like, let me do my thing, and this is where I shine. So technically it's not Celebrimbor who got the dwarves involved. Except he asked
He brought in
Elrond.
Elrond to get him to get him there. He said just the right things to get Elrond's ego fluffed up. Like, I got this.
Elrond, who's been good friends with dwarves more than any other elf. Yeah. I don't know. He's a little sus. Let's talk about Elrond going to see Durin, but Disa playing doorkeep. Gatekeeper there.
Disa's being awesome again.
I know. Team Disa. There's a hand missing. Explain.
she's fine. She's all right.
Team indifferent?
It's even I like
Elaborate.
I like that they do this kind of farce of her lying, but then also calling him out for catching her in the lies. But she doubles down for loyalty and, love for her husband and the thing that they have going on. Like, it's frustrating to see sometimes because I'm like, just help a brother out, like help Elrond out. Like, yeah, she trusts him, but at the same time, she's probably specifically knows that this is not a thing that I can open up to Elrond about. That can't happen because we're already doing some pretty under the radar things that really even, her father-in-law, the king, probably doesn't really know about, is what we end up getting to. But yeah, no, I like Disa a lot. I do. And I like that they were able to work a scene like that in the gatekeeper kind of thing. Like, but he knows, like he knows, but he knows.
And I love the children chanting in the background, and Disa keeps trying to get them to shut up because you're giving away the thing that we don't know is the thing yet. And just it's like, okay, but like they're playing, Mom, so why would you be so upset about them just playing and like having fun if it's not clearly something important that you don't want Elrond to hear?
Mm-hmm. What were they saying? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah, I
No,
just I
didn't
wasn't really
know.
paying attention.
I'm going to be
I
honest with
thought
you.
it was nonsense.
You said that. Like, I just assumed she was just being an annoyed mom yelling at her kids for being loud.
Right.
It's a thing like when my kids won't talk to me. They just don't because I'm not cool enough. But the minute my phone rings or I'm in the middle of doing something, all of a sudden they're all
All
over
of them
me.
need you.
And it doesn't matter if they were 2 or 12 or 17 or 5. Like, they all do it.
It's just how kids are.
I'm having a grown-up conversation for the first time in 3 days. Can you all leave me alone? And I think because of that, I completely didn't pay any attention to the kids because I just assumed they were being annoying kids to a mom. Ooh, maybe my mom perspective was like making me miss something. So were they like, was there stuff in their chanting?
Yeah, you don't remember? It was this.
No.
It was the secret that led to the opening of the door in the hole.
And that's what the kids
That's what the kids
are
were chanting.
See, I was with you 100%. I was just like, oh, they're just trying to get her off her, like show her almost being distracted to slip up.
Yes.
I wasn't really paying attention to what the kids were saying. I'm glad you guys both picked up that there was relevant stuff going on, which is why she even further was like, you guys need to shut up, like right now.
Yeah,
But she doesn't
like,
do it in
you're
a,
giving away the secrets.
but she does it in a cool way that like Elrond wouldn't necessarily pick up that like, hey, I'm covering up something that I hope you didn't hear. She does it in a annoyed mom and then gets back to covering the tracks.
I bought it.
Yeah, I did.
100%.
And I have more thoughts on this, but I'll get to it once we open.
Okay.
Sure.
We're getting to the door.
That's what it was. Okay. I didn't put that together. I didn't realize that was where he. Okay. Makes a lot more sense now.
Oh my gosh. So
Thank
let's
God.
just go there. Keep going because I don't know any of it. So please.
So to get to where we're going, Elrond overhears Disa and Doran talking about the old mine, and so clearly that's where Durin is going to be. Elrond heads there because he wants to meet with Durin, clearly, and encounters this door that he has no way of opening. And I think he's feeling really hopeless, and he's like, I don't know how the heck to open this door. Like, I don't know. Disa kept being really mad about the kids chanting, so I'm gonna like say the thing that the kids were chanting in the house,
Totally missed it.
and it works.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys picked. I totally missed that. I was curious, like, how did he just pull this like ancient knowledge out how to open this door? No, I just that
He did not.
totally. That was where I was falling asleep again today when I was rewatching. I was just like passing out, and I just didn't look at those scenes back to back the way that they're actually shown. All right.
Nope. I
Big
had
whiff
no
from
idea.
Melissa and I. Big whiff. Just swing and a miss.
I'm just
Right
going to
over.
watch it as it passes me by. Oh, well.
So it works.
He got in.
It works.
I think I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, where those little things that they're trying hard to not be exposition-y. Apparently, I'm not smart enough for as subtle as they're being. That's how I'm feeling in this episode. Maybe that's just me.
I really feel like you have to watch a lot of this multiple times to get all of the fine detail.
I'm going to really like it my 4th time through. Like, it's going to make so much sense once I've watched like 4 seasons worth and then I go back. Oh, yeah. And I like doing that, but it's hard to talk about it now when you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Elrond does get in, right? And Durin kind of approaches him right away, and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? And, like, they kind of have they get to a good understanding, I think, of like, you gotta level with me here. Like, what's going on, Durin? Like, this seems out of the way for how our friendship has been rekindled, like right now. Like, why are you hiding this from me? And he's basically, he kind of gives like 20 years is a long time to not be here, even for an elf. Like, sorry again for not being in your life. And that kind of softens Durin up to be like, okay, you really are showing a friend thing here. You have to swear this oath, hand on stone. You need to swear that you will tell nobody. And Elrond, he does it. And we find out what was in the case.
What's in the box?
What's in the box from earlier. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was one of us that guessed it, or I think someone in the chat had mentioned it and we discussed it, that it was potentially Mithril.
I don't think I said Mithril.
I think AK in the chat
That's
had
my
said
idea.
it, and we brought it up in our conversation. But I thoughts on it being Mithril and not something else. I know we had some other ideas.
It's believable. I mean,
It's more believable than my idea, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed it wasn't a lost Silmaril. It was like they were lost forever, sure, but this was the opportunity to bring it back temporarily. The one lost underground, but it's fine.
I was let down, and then the more that they talked about Mithril the ore and the process of retrieving it, like it made me really excited to see that discovery, like that they showed that discovery and the importance of it. And I don't know, I think it is a really, really cool. It's probably up until this point the most like fascinated I've been with the history of Lord of the Rings so far. Like in being able to see it. Like I think it's been the most direct tie where you can be like, oh, this is being discovered right now. And I just think it's really, really cool.
Bailey, Mithril thoughts?
It was pretty. That was like the first thing. I'm like, ooh, I want like that on a pendant. Pretty. Um, but yeah, I mean, just like the whole trust between Elrond and Durin to, they've come to this understanding that, they are friends, and that there is that deep level of trust and connection to be able to, show your most prized possession and the thing that, most people don't know about yet. And here, keep it as a token of my friendship. That's how much I value you.
Really?
Like, are you surprised that he did that?
That.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
If it's so valuable.
And such a secret, and you just give it away. I mean, it's Elrond. Like, but
Is he that good of a friend?
right? I don't even know if I like you guys that much. I mean, you're fine, but that was the part that took me out of the whole scene. I was like, wait, because Khazad-dûm is my favorite. I think that's where I would want to be in any of these places. And I love Dees and I love Durin and I love their relationship. And I like Elrond and Durin's friendship. I'm there for it. And that moment I was like, whoa, that was one step too far. That was too much for me.
I was very happy that it was Mithril. I'm glad to see kind of what Riley was like, the discovery of this element that we've heard of before. And to me, seeing how perilous and dangerous it is to even mine and manufacture this, I think really ups the value of what it means when Thorin Oakenshield gives Bilbo that full Mithril chain. That was awesome. I mean, that's a truly awesome gift at that point, right? Like this ups the value of that moment for me much later on, which I think was really neat, right? And then we see how much more valuable it really is when we actually see it in use, saving Frodo's life and things like that. But I was happy with it. It would have confused me if it was a Silmaril. It would have been cool, but it would have been problematic in a lot of things. So I'm glad they gave us something. I mean, this is what the dwarves do, right?
Yeah.
This is their thing. And this is like the main element that is prized later on, that is kind of what they hang their hat on and be like, no, we're the only ones that can do this. And I like that we're being brought in on the ground level of them kind of first getting into it.
And for me, it shaped the dwarves in a light where instead of them being schemy and manipulative, they're being cautious
Protective.
and strategic.
Mhm.
Like, they're trying to build up their kingdom and they want to do it in the right way. So it makes me okay being a dwarf friend again. Like I'm a fan of it.
I'm worried that Celebrimbor is going to find out about it. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Sure. I wouldn't trust Elrond.
You wouldn't?
He's got a big mouth.
Guess we'll...
He hesitated quite a long time before swearing that oath.
But I don't know. It's hard to swear to something when you don't know what the context is.
Right.
And when you sway for forever, when you don't die.
And he literally is a forever. Like that's where I was going with it.
That's how I took it. It was less I'm not sure if I'm trustworthy, and more of a, when I say forever.
Like, it's not just another 150 years. It could be 150,000 years, like, for all he knows. It's a different thing for an elf to swear an oath. Like, a forever oath. It's a big, big, enduring commitment.
All right. Next, Khazad-dûm.
Disa leads the chant to flee to the rock to save the dwarves trapped in the collapse. Durin saves each one, but is frustrated with his father. Elrond adds some perspective about fathers. Durin and Elrond debate over their meeting.
I like the song.
Yeah.
Disa's got some pipes.
Yeah.
Was that her singing? Like the actress?
I bet it was.
You think?
I bet so. I bet that was maybe a part of why she got the role. She looks like a singer who can belt like that.
Singer, for
like,
sure.
So I believed it.
Yeah.
Certainly. And that music started at the end of the scene before. I forget exactly which scene that was. It was in a different area. But for a minute, I was like, okay, it's a little odd. And then it kind of, music's in over. And I thought it was a neat transition. It caught my attention in the end of the scene before. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it threw me off in that moment. But the way it resolved here, I was all for it after I knew.
Leave it to Middle Earth after all of these years to still bring something new to a fantasy concept that is so badass. Like, singing to the mountain, that is incredible. Like, in my D&D campaigns, furthermore, that will be what... Doesn't have to be dwarven women, but I love that that's what their place is in this story. But I love that that is how they interpret where things are. I just think that is the coolest idea ever. I don't know. I was in love with it. Like, I thought it was so cool.
I just looked her up on Twitter, and her Twitter account says Mama, actress, singer, voiceover artist, South African, Iranian, soon to be appearing on Lord of the Rings Prime. So yeah, she's a singer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Damn girl.
Yeah. The dwarves made it out.
Yeah, I wish one of them would have died.
I don't think Durin needs that on his
Make it a little
conscience
more
right now.
interesting.
Sure.
I think it would have been problematic for him. I think being able to save them all and just having the shame of it even happening,
Yeah.
I think is all I wanted. Because I think that could change where he's at for a while if he really did lose one of them. Like, that would have been a tough thing for him to swallow, as I'm choking right now. It would have been a tough thing for him to work through with all the other complicated things going on. I don't know if
Sure.
it would have been the right... it would have upped the direness of it, the perilousness of it a little bit more. But right now, I think for our character, he's a little on edge already. I wouldn't want to lose some of the things that we just worked on because of that.
I also don't love that we missed out on, like, the action shot in the Mithril Mine. Like, I wish we would have gotten that.
Like how they're doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah, like what the Mithril Mine looks like, and then, like, oh, it's collapsing. Like, let's cut to the miners being stuck. Like, I wish we would have gotten at least a little chunk of that.
I don't think it's done. I would assume that at some point they go back.
Yeah. I think that that's what it's leading towards.
Yeah. But at the moment they're banned from mithril mining because Prince Durin's dad puts down a block, and Durin's not so happy about it. Do you think the block is justified?
It's definitely risky.
To save your valued friends, workers, employees. I think it's justified.
Doesn't sound like the mine was OSHA approved, so
No.
or
No.
Misha approved.
It was not. I think the thing for me, do we think the fight with the dad was necessary to push Durin's story? Or was it done so Elrond could talk about his dad?
I feel like it's a very natural reaction from Durin, like because we know he can be hot-headed. I mean, dwarves that's kind of one of their descriptors. They're a little hot-headed, they're stubborn, and they're whether they're emotions on their sleeves a little bit. And so I think that's naturally his frustration is going to come out right there. It makes sense to me. He just got shut down from the thing that he was trying to make his own, and a thing that he believes can put them on the map, riches beyond belief kind of thing, and he's being told, no, don't do this. And so I think his natural outburst felt right to me. It's also the easy way for Elrond to show some Elrond wisdom, right? Which we know he's good for, and it's nice to give him some of those moments, because a lot of times it's just been Elrond the politician so far, or Elrond the friend. This is kind of Elrond the wise showing up, and I liked having the opportunity for him to also talk about something that Melissa's brought up a couple times about how, Elros and Elrond's dad literally just like flying across the stars with a Silmaril. And I like that he went specifically to, like, he's the only one that ever got back to Valinor. Valar, basically to help fight Morgoth and take all that down. And it was, like, really cool. At the same time, I wish I could talk to him. It's just a nice moment.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he isn't happy with me, I wish I could talk to him. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people who lose their parents can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And that message of take advantage while you have him. So Durin does.
Mm-hmm.
And goes and sees dear old dad. Any thoughts on the meeting with the king?
I like the way that it turned out. Like, no matter what you do, you'll always be my son kind of deal, and I'll always love you. Like, it's very heartwarming. He's a king, but he's a father first. That's kind of what I got out of that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I like the sentiment of, it's rumored in our history that rulers they gain the wisdom and all of the knowledge and the pains of the prior rulers to them, and but lucky for you, son, you don't have to wait until you become the ruler to hear how I feel.
Yeah, I thought
Let me lay it on you.
I thought it was a good moment between the two of them. I liked seeing, was it Durin the Fifth is who this is?
The third? No.
I thought he was the sixth. I thought ours was the sixth.
Maybe he is.
But it's just nice to see that, he's king, but he's still a well-intentioned father figure. It was good. It was good to see more from him. And he didn't lay it on thick of like, you messed up. Like, he just goes, I know you feel bad. That's enough. Like, you don't need to worry about it anymore. Like,
ours is Durin the fourth.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I got my Roman numerals mixed up in my head.
The I moved.
Yep.
Yep. I'm team dwarf.
Too.
I think for the family piece of it, for even Disa with her kids, the family aspect of dwarves speaks to me more than the family aspect of anything else we've seen so far in Middle Earth.
Well, we really haven't gotten much elf family other than like, I don't have one, anymore.
Right. But that's also speaking of that family is not necessarily as, I don't know, you just don't see the value on it because they don't have them and they don't live with huge packs of I mean, they might, and we know they do because of things coming up, but I don't know. I think it's a little closer to home for dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
So it is that time.
I think every episode we have one of these, and this happens to be this episode's final scene.
Galadriel appears to depart Numenor. Muriel and Elrond, no, not Elrond, Muriel and Elendil, I did this really early yesterday morning, worry over the falling of the leaves from the tree. Muriel makes an announcement and calls for aid. Isildur and his buddies volunteer while Halbrand walks free through Numenor. The whole should I stay or should I go moment for Galadriel. Because she's going in a minute with help. Thoughts on the help?
She's getting what she wants.
Shocking.
Entitled. I'm slowly becoming less Team Galadriel.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Why?
She just expects everybody, like, okay, I get it. Like, you're on the righteous path and you have been, and like, you're tired of people not believing you, but like, get over yourself. Like, nobody has to bend over for you. Like, nobody has to do that. And you make it seem like they have to at every turn. Okay, get it, you're strong-willed, but you are kind of a piece of shit to deal with. And, like, I don't know. It's just frustrating seeing her on screen and hearing her talk to people. Like, it is frustrating to watch for me. She shows no compassion or, like, meeting in the middle. Like, there's none of that.
I would say that they have done a lot to not show her being much of a compromise type ruler. I can see why she would be tough to follow, regardless if she's right or not.
Yeah.
She would be tough to win the love of her followers, is what it seems like, because it's just understood that because she's right, that you should just do it no matter what, not because you have to believe in her.
She's not a politician.
No.
And as much as I was annoyed by Farazan earlier in the episode, Galadriel has none of that skill.
Or Halbrand.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have anything like Halbrand does either.
Right. That's what I mean. She doesn't have that key to how do I make it palatable, or how do I have some understanding of somebody else's perspective. She doesn't have any of that, and she needs it because she is right, but she's not likable.
She just needs to learn how to explain it, like why people should be on her side. Because really, I feel like if she explained, here's the issue, and this is why we need to act, most people would probably agree and say, yeah, you're right, Galadriel. Instead of just demanding, I need a ship, and I need an army, and we're going now.
And can she make it so that it also benefits other people and not just her? Because we saw a little bit of that from her at the end of last episode when she was talking to Halbrand. Just a little bit, where she tried to make her story fit his need. It didn't work because he was like, yeah, I don't care. I'm not going. But she did try to be a human to him. She doesn't know how to do that just to everybody else. How do I see what your story is to help align our stories and our visions? There isn't any of that skill. What do we think? And then the tree starts shedding.
Yeah, kind of Valar showing some disapproval of sending her off without aid is what it seems like. That's what Muriel seems to take it as, and that's what Elendil seems to take it as. Farazan seems a little nonchalant. He's kind of indifferent to it, I think, and I think that's telling. But
Or it was just a totally natural cause of the leaves falling off, and people are reading into symbolism too much.
Except they literally in the
Autumn is
voiceover.
coming.
Well,
I know.
Muriel's voiceover says,
I know.
when the leaves fall, because at first I was watching going, ooh, the leaves are falling. Is that important? And then all of a sudden, yes, they told me it was important.
this is important. Here's your exposition,
They did a
Melissa.
good job there
This is
telling
what
me
they
to
need
pay
to do.
attention. I liked the volunteering,
Yeah.
especially of broad-shouldered friend of Isildur, right? There was two
Valendil.
friends. Was that his name?
Yeah.
Yes, I like.
That's one who got really upset at him earlier.
I don't like that his name is Valendil
I've
because
worked my whole
that's
life
somebody
for
else
this.
in the history, but fine. Yes, I like that they got to have a second chance of
They've got nothing else to do anymore.
Do we think that Elendil is going to be the leader of this expedition? That's what I kind of assumed.
yes.
That's what I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think with his new title, it's almost like that's going to go to him because he was kind of put in charge of Galadriel. And so now this is like specifically his mission. It is what it feels like it's leading towards to me.
And he's already captain of the something with the boats and the ships anyway. Like he was already. So now to have him be the captain of the sailing to Middle Earth, that tracks.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense to me.
He's got the qualifications.
Also,
hmm
if you're going to have a sea guard, why enlist an entirely new group of people to sail across the sea?
My take is because the Sea Guard likely will remain, and this is more of a delivery system. This is more of a going out further than the Sea Guard. But we also can't get rid of our national protection, our island protection, because we're doing that on purpose because we think other people could show up. We don't want to send our whole fleet on this one little mission and be unsafe. You know, we're not protecting our own at
Sure.
that point. It's like when you're playing Risk and you have, here's
Send
my
them all.
home base.
Send them all.
You just leave one everywhere you go. It's just
Send them all.
your whole group everywhere. All right.
I also feel at the moment they have a really strong navy, but what they need are Marines who
Yeah.
can be land and air
Exactly.
and sea, and they don't have the land people. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know if we know that they're not
They're-
great fighting on land.
But I mean, what you're talking about is our Sea Guard are the Navy.
Yeah.
Specifically, there's our water people. And if we need to go on land, we don't want our water people going on land because we need them to be on the water.
So let's send the random dudes who put their hands up in a crowd. Like,
It's a draft. Yes, that's what we do. They're called Army. We draft them.
not anymore.
We have.
Well, they're expendable. They don't have a specific role in their current military system.
Yeah.
So let's, if they want to volunteer, why not? If we lose a few,
It's
Well.
for the cause.
This is just a tribute.
The only other thing I want to bring up is that Halbrand is walking free, right? We just sort of see him on a bridge at one point. He got out.
Giving good advice.
We know he's still going to sit trial. That was clearly stated by Muriel. She says, no matter what, good guy, bad guy, he's going to sit trial for his crimes. We're gonna see about that. So I guess they trust that he's not going anywhere. Like he's not a flight risk because the only boat out is leaving right now. That's how I kind of take it, I guess. Or maybe they just dropped it all because they're kind of all on what they view his wants are. They feel like he wants to help Galadriel, but that also, we don't really know if that's true.
Anything else? Last thoughts before we move to episode title accuracy. The Great Wave. I don't like doing the wave, the baseball game. It's fine. I know I do it anyway. I get yelled at if I don't. So the Great Wave. Accurate?
I think it was something that played a part throughout all of the Numenor stuff. I mean, we see it twice, and we definitely see it sort of being a part of the catalyst for choices that Muriel has made, and bringing Galadriel into that. I suppose it's pretty important to this episode.
Bailey, what do you think?
obviously it's relevant to the Numenor stuff. I'm gonna go on a stretch here and say that maybe we saw a great wave of orcs chasing after Theo.
I feel like there's a bigger orc wave coming next episode.
That's okay. I'll go
But
with the stretch.
I think, yeah, there's something there.
Riley, the Great Wave.
Didn't really do it for me. I don't think it was that important.
I feel like that. So I'm kind of with you. I feel like these titles are not doing the job I want a title to do,
Describe a little bit of everything.
or give a broader theme, or
Yeah.
at least an event that.
It's like the first paragraph or the first sentence of like your first body paragraph rather than being the first sentence of your overall paper.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's frustrating
Yeah.
because it's an important detail of one part,
Yeah.
not an overall.
Well, and it was like the first thing that we saw.
Yes. And
So it's like, okay, there's the episode title. So what do I care now?
yeah, it was okay. All right. Episode description accuracy. Ready? Queen Regent Muriel's faith is tested. Okay. Isildur finds himself at a crossroads.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, not literally, but figuratively. Elrond uncovers a secret.
Yes.
Arondir is given an ultimatum.
Sort of. I mean, it was
Not
just
really.
delivering a message.
Everyone's given the ultimatum. He's just the messenger.
He's presented an
Should be
ultimatum to deliver.
Arondir delivers an ultimatum.
So here's my only. I agree with all of you, but in an episode description, which you don't want to give too much away because it comes out before the episode, we still see Arondir at the end of last episode still captured with the orcs. So if you say deliver, then you give away that he gets out,
Yeah.
except the previews already gave that away. So
I suppose it could be an ultimatum for him because it's either deliver the message or he probably would have died.
yeah. It's the least accurate we've seen yet for that one
Murky.
sentence. Yes, that's a good word. And then Theo disobeys Bronwyn.
Yeah. She tells him not to go, and he
Yes.
does.
All right.
All right.
All right, here we go. Second breakfast. Favorite or least favorite thing? Bailey, let's start with you.
Theo. Everything about Theo. I don't care.
I'm going to go with that's your least favorite then.
Yes.
Riley.
I think the sword was my favorite thing, but it's tied with all of the dwarf stuff. Least favorite, I don't know, something to deal with Numenor again. Like, I'm not really that excited about it at all. Like, it doesn't excite me. So, I'm excited to get away from it.
Okay, because we're leaving now.
Yeah, hopefully.
Apparently. All right. Luke?
I think least favorite thing, the vacillating of Isildur. It feels a little unnecessary. I mean, I know it's a bit of a character thing that they're doing. I see where they're taking it. My favorite thing was Mithril. I thought that was pretty cool. I like the way they got there and how complicated it was for Durin in that moment when he was worried about those. There's 4 dwarves down there. Like, I thought that was a really great moment in general, and all the Mithril stuff entangled in that.
My favorite thing is the dwarves. I want to go live in Khazad-dûm. I want to be one of Deeza's kids. Like, she's the best. But Durin too. I love that he wears his heart on his sleeve. And
Mhm.
I don't always think we get good male characters that do that well and are still tough, and I just appreciate his character a lot. My least favorite thing, I don't care about Theo. I don't care about Isildur. And I think because Theo was made up for the show, when he goes, I will be fine with it. But I am annoyed with what they're doing with Isildur because he is a character that we know, and I don't know if I agree with where they're going with him yet. So I will say that's my least favorite thing. All right. Another Drawbridge Media podcast. So we do more than just the show. And Bailey, it's your turn this week to tell us about what is another show that Drawbridge Media produces.
Well, another show we produce that has not put out an episode in quite some time is the podcast that gets lit. It is a boozy book club podcast hosted by Luke and myself, wherein we go through a list of books that we have each chosen that we are extremely passionate about and drink along the way while we discuss them.
You can learn more about that at thepodcastthat.com. We are going to do final wrap-up thoughts. So Luke, we're going to start with you. Who are you? Where can they find you? And what's your final thought?
I'm Luke. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at LucaFerocious. Final thought, I'm excited to see some of these large plots come to a head. We're literally halfway through the season 1 right now, and it feels like we're about to hit that jumping off point of pieces have been put in motion to actually do stuff now. There's been a lot of action. There's been a lot of story things going on, but you can always feel when you get to that moment in the season where, okay, now things are set. They're going to converge and blow up and create new stories out of it. I think we're in that bringing things down to really come to a head. And I think there's a lot of exciting things that could happen before the end of the season that I'm enjoying the show overall.
Bailey.
I feel like with only 4 episodes left, there's got to be so much more that happens that's packed into those episodes. And I don't know that we're going to get that much. I mean, there's only so much time you can fit into 4 episodes unless I don't know if they've released run times for them yet, if they're going to be like substantially longer than what we've gotten so far. But I feel like there's a lot that has to happen before the season ends.
And where can people find you?
You can find me at Riddle Writes on Twitter.
All right. Riley.
Yeah, I'm Riley. You can find me at Hoagie on Rye on Twitter and Instagram. I don't post much, but I'm there. Final thoughts are, I like how substantial the episodes are in terms of like length, but they don't feel extremely long to me. I don't know. Like, I feel like I get whisked away in them pretty often, except when we're at Numenor. But I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot that needs to be done, but like it's getting along. Like, especially with the Arondir and like Theo stuff, like we're getting through it quickly, and I think it's going to start to open up, kind of like Luke said. So I'm excited for the next few episodes for sure.
And I am Melissa. You can find me at mcrowley522. My final thought is I've been finding themes in the episodes that I was not anticipating. The first, and so my silly names for these episodes here kind of go with that theme. The first one was got to get back to Middle Earth because that's what we were doing. We were investing in the world. And last time it was Friends in Low Places because it was all about finding allies in unlikely spots. This time it's all about Papa Don't Preach, I'm in Trouble Deep, because almost every story had some element of father figure to me. And so I'm enjoying the story anyway. But I really appreciated that subtle through line, although some of it was not so subtle because Celebrimbor talking about Elrond's father felt like a big giant, like, hey, by the way, we're going to talk about your dad later on, so let's make sure that everybody knows about your dad. But Durin's stuff with his dad, Muriel's with her dad, even Adar, at one point, Arondir says, why do they call you father? Because Adar is their word for father. So I appreciated that undercurrent theme on top of all the world building and the plot points, that all the stories connected in a weird way. So I enjoyed that a lot. Whew. I think that's it. You can become a patron and help us out at patreon.com/stayimaginary. But for all the ways that you can help this show and all of our shows at the Drawbridge Media, check out thepodcast.com/support us. You can follow us on Twitter at Wanders and Lost. Also on Instagram, this one is at Wanders and is Lost, because we like to make it complicated because we can't find our way. Get it? Send us an email at wandersandislost@gmail.com. And most importantly, subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes and here on YouTube. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can join us in the live chat.
You can get our next stream this upcoming Friday, Thursday night. We will be doing the next House of the Dragon episode on the 22nd of September. So make sure you check out that stream when that happens. And I believe the next Wanderers and Lost episode will be a week from tonight. It'll be the 25th of September, Sunday night. So we're going to try to stick to Sunday nights as often as we can. And thank you all for being here.
So until next time,
stay imaginary.
Thanks.